This is Face the Nation, going behind the story with a fresh perspective.
This is Face the Nation, and viewers at home watching the program today would like to know, why now?
I can't think of a better time to do what I'm doing than right now, because I smell there is change in the air, and there is going to be change, and I sniff around and I think that the time for change is now. And then I also know that when I look around, I see that I'm the best candidate there based on quite a number of credentials, on the message, and so many other things. I do not look around and see any candidate better than I, so I think the time is now.
Usually, people always stay in the field they're in for quite majorly all throughout their lives. What made you switch from sports journalism, writing books, and being a pastor to run for president?
Before I was all those things, I was so many other things. There was a time I tried some bit of engineering, civil engineering. That didn't work out. I went to journalism, and I was there. Then I left journalism. I went into pastoral work, and I was there for some years. So I left there, and I'm going into something different, and I am going to be there. So I have never been somebody who stays, who thinks that just because I made an entry in one place, that's where I'm supposed to be permanently throughout my life. And I wouldn't advise anybody to think that way.
Controversy, running from things. Apart from civil engineering, that you practiced for a short time, I do believe, wouldn't a person viewing the program today say you've been running away from almost the other professions that you've delved into?
Maybe for one, that means I'm not going to rule 35 years, and I'm sure that's what everybody is interested in. So I don't have to stick with myself. So maybe I'm the kind of person they are sure that I will not stick around longer than I am supposed to stick around, because I do not have a way of doing that. For one, we have a constitution which we have to get back to where it was before it was disrespected. So that would mean the maximum would be 10 years. But I don't think that far. All I'm thinking is that in the first 5 years, what foundation am I going to lay? I want to lay a marker so that even if it was just 5 years, anybody that comes after that absolutely knows, sees that we have moved away from the foundation of Museveni and Musevenism, and we have entered into something different. So 5 years is enough for somebody to lay a marker.
What is the term Musevenism? Describe Musevenism.
Well, Musevenism is a number of things. One of them, corruption, nepotism, plunder, theft, mismanagement, dead public sector, dead systems, nothing works, a situation where all power is vested in the office of the president. None of the other institutions of government are functional. All of them just almost subservient, whether they admit it or not, subservient to the president. And that is the term Musevenism. It's more or less like some kind of system that suits him and a few people around him. And so does everybody else.
There's a growing legion of prophets, bishops, pastors, some are doing it as a business to take money from citizens, and they are filthy. Some are filthy rich, others are wealthy at that. How is your government going to deal with this issue of prophets, leaders of churches and worship centers being wealthy at the expense of the citizen?
My government is going to deal with politicians owning billions at the expense of the citizens. What's wrong with Ugandans? Can't you see that the problem is the politics? You have a president and his family which have stolen all your wealth, but you're concerning yourself with pastors. The people who go there by choice. By contrast, as a Ugandan, I'm not a Ugandan by choice. I was born here. So the controversy is with the government and the wealth they are stealing. They are carrying loads and loads of gold out of this country, and you're asking me about pastors? What's wrong with you people? Like, we are dealing with, I have no problem with people fraternizing anywhere. Okay? It is not my business. I was in Busoga and they told me, but you, a pastor, won't you ban witch doctors? I said, I have no business with what people believe. That is not, I'm not coming here to be an archbishop. I'm not campaigning to be an archbishop. I'm campaigning to be a president. And my business is with what people expect from their government, not from their pastors. That is up to them. Because as far as I know, there is a freedom of entry and exit into those churches. Right? Yes. Is there anybody who is forced there? No. Do you know of any pastor who has guns that shoots people who walks out, who walk out of his church? No. Do you know of any? No. If there is such a pastor, then I would be concerned. But as long as people go there willingly, as long as people go to witch doctors willingly, as long as people go to anywhere willingly, they have the right to choose or not to choose or choose to go nowhere. Okay? So now what you're going to ask me, what you say about people who go and spend all their money in bars? None of my business. It's their money. So now, if I concern myself about people spending money in churches or in witch doctors' shrines, then next you'll be asking me, so am I standing to be financial manager of people's pockets or standing to be president? Now, my thing is, all I want to make sure is that you have more money to spend where you choose to spend it, wherever that is, in a bar, in a church, in a wherever it is. Just to make sure that you have more money to spend on yourself, at a music concert, flying out to go and have, whatever it is. The question is, I want to make sure you have more money to spend it wherever it is you want to spend it. Now, the thing with Uganda is the thieves are in government and we know them.
Do you say Museveni's rule, the 30 more years or so in power, he has not done any good?
Well, you tell me. You know, you people are young people, so maybe you don't know anything beyond the 35 years of Museveni. I was in S1 when he took over. So I kind of was understanding age, was of some kind of understanding age. And I knew that there was something before him. Take him away, and even when he was fighting a legitimate government and you know, being a terrorist in the bush, fighting an elected government, even in that time period when he caused a lot of havoc, he himself, there were some good things happening. There was not the corruption, you see. Public systems were functional. Agriculture sector was very lucrative for all Ugandans, not just a few of them. People were earning off the ground, and there were so many interesting things in that time period. So now when people come and tell me what has he done, and I always throw the question back at them, and the one thing they always point at is security. He brought a semblance of peace. But then I say, he's the one who took it away. He's the one who caused havoc in this country because he was fighting to be president. And he was fighting an elected government. So it's like I take your mobile phone, then you look for it, it's lost, then I bring it tomorrow and you thank me, thank you so much.
But he's brought up about infrastructure, is a steady infrastructure development.
That is absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Is there any city that is like Kampala with absolutely no road network to speak about? Go to Dar es Salaam. Go to Kigali. There is no city like that. There is nothing. There is no place, I'm talking about Africa, where roads can be as bad as this, where dust is rising up in the air, and so on. Now, all these other roads which they are doing, which they are making all over the place, is actually, Chinese are making roads all over Africa. You see, you can't just look here. All over Africa, the Chinese are making roads, and they are making roads against the resources of the countries.
Economic vibrance of our economy, would you say it's too bad? Has it made it too bad? Has it made it too
Are you kidding me? Economy, there's hardly the economy. It's nobody can talk about the economy and talks about Uganda.
We're growing. We're growing. In East Africa, we are third.
Third out of how many countries?
Yes, but we are third.
Only Rwanda and Burundi are behind us, and those are countries which have been in war for so long. Rwanda, if at the current rate we are moving, how much longer will they be behind us? Okay? Look at what they are capable of doing. Look at the things that they have. Look at Tanzania. Look at all this middle income status which they got on the 1st of July. What do they have that we do not have apart from the coastline and good leadership? That's it. They don't have the soils we have. They don't have the minerals we have. They don't have oil that we have. They don't have the tourism potential that we have. They are making the most of what they have, and they are rich, getting there. They are improving because of good leadership. This is what we lack in this country.
What sort of good leadership are you bringing?
I'm talking about basic leadership of people who care for their country. And I don't think that Museveni loves Uganda at all. Because there is no, look at the things that are being done. Now, the other day, they gave out a whole eco-forest in Bugoma and Budongo in Bunyoro for sugarcane growing. There is nobody who can do that.
So what is the better government you're going to bring?
And now the country, nobody cares about it. It's like you're staying in a rented house and you're going to leave that place in a short while and you do not care about everything. You leave the toilet seats, broken and everything, all the plumbing destroyed and what. That's what's happening in Uganda right now. Somebody behaving like this is a rented country. He does not belong here. And he is just plundering everything, destroying everything that there is until we have to save ourselves from him.
It is a mirage because no one tells us that this is what I'm going to start with.
Are you sure nobody tells us? What I'm bringing is the heart of somebody who loves their country and who is not going to destroy it, like what we've seen happening here. And aside from that, an economic vibrancy, a financial liberation, the word, and bringing a scenario where everybody is a partaker in the wealth of their country and not just a few people. A scenario where everybody feels that they have, a share, a slice of the wealth that has been vested in this country by the Creator, and there is quite an amount of it. So that is what everybody wants. Nobody wants to be excluded from what is happening economically. They want to be a part of it. Some of them don't know what they want.
You all have the same words. We're going to bring change.
Who has said that? That's not true. That is not true. That is not true.
We want a difference where you and your parents, you and your fellows can have a difference in your pocket, in your bank account, at home, how you sleep.
I was telling you that it's going to happen, first of all, by understanding what do we have in this country. What are the things that we have in this country that we can say are going to be the basis of, what's the raw material that we are working with. And now that's the thing, there's a lot of raw material that we are working with. We are working with some of the best soils. Okay, we are working with half of East Africa's arable land shared out in one country, and the other 4 countries share out the other half. We are working with a country that has 2 seasons a year, very rare anywhere in the world. We are working with people who want to actually turn that advantage of the soils into some income generating thing. And we
want a difference where you and your parents, you and your fellows can have a difference in your pocket, in your bank account, at home, how you sleep.
It is not doing anything. What do you know? You just hear. You just read what. There are none. There is not a single one. You see, that's the problem with you people. You listen. You have to be a special kind of fool to still listen to Museveni. Museveni says one thing and does another one. What he says is the exact opposite of what he's intending to do. Like, I don't know why anybody can even still tell me about Museveni right now. There is nothing he does. He will say bonna bagaggawale, campaign on bonna bagaggawale, then afterwards he closes all avenues of money, and then bonna ne bavuwala. So I don't know why people still quote Museveni. He's not quotable. He's absolutely not quotable. The only quote we shall take from him is I'm not standing. That's the only sense he can say right now. Okay? And now, forget about saying. Now what he does is even worse than what he says, obviously. Okay? So now anybody who judges him by his actions knows that they have destroyed the agriculture industry for farmers. And we know that there was a time it was functional. And we know that he destroyed it. He destroyed the cooperatives. He destroyed all the systems that made you go around and you see all the coffee plants and all that, the spinning mills and all that are completely destroyed. Starting from this one in Bugorovi, which was a very thriving thing. That is the legacy of Museveni and his Bonnaba Gaggawari. Do you know how many people were making a lot of money from just that thing there in Bugorovi? That was 94% of Uganda's export revenue. And that thing represented, I'm telling you, so many people through coffee farming were looking after children, paying children's school fees, having money. None of them failed to have money to take children to school and so on. Just through that, he destroyed it and put a goa and then destroyed that also. So there is nothing over the economic value that he has done for Ugandans, apart from his family and his nucleus people.
So you know what it means to be there. Talk to that Kamocha person, basing on your experience of living there. What is that?
You have to understand that that person you're talking about, now that's the problem with Kampala people. You think Kampala, you understand? So you think in Kampala there is the elite who stay in places like, maybe Bugorovi and so on. Then there is the Kamocha boy. You understand? Now, get out of Kampala and there is no difference. There is no elite and non-elite. They are all the same. They are all farmers, 65%. Okay? All of them living off the soil, 65%. Those are important. If I convince the 65%, these ones will fall in line. You understand? So the things I'm talking about are things which are of value to people in West Nile, people in northern Uganda, people in western Uganda, in Busoga, in Mbale, in Teso and what, things concerning agriculture. Now that is not going to convince the Kamocha boy because he has no land. Okay? Now, there is something that I will say to the Kamocha boy.
Just give me one or two.
Now, those people actually, they run on emotions, those ones you're talking about. You know what, want change and so on. But then when you sit them down and say, now, what kind of change do you want? What can your government do for you? And I've sat down with many of them, by the way. And I sit down and listen to them and say, okay, now you, not necessarily in that part of it, but there are so many, areas in the like that. So I sit down with them and say, now, suppose I was president and now I'm sitting in front of you, what would you tell me? And then you listen to all the things they say, wonderful things. And you see how they can be helped. Some of them want very basic things. So those people want jobs, but most of them do not want jobs of studied jobs, although some want. Most of them want jobs where they can innovate and be allowed to do things from an innovative point of view. Now, when you allow them and give them boosts in different segments,
It has sent out money to different circles, to different organizations, to different groups. These people have been told to form up groups and go and request for that money, and the requisitions are made, and some of these groups got money. Whatever the money is used for, should we put that on government?
Yes. Financial boosts, yes. Financial boosts. Because they need that at the end of the day. They need that. Something has got to be financial. So they need that to help them come out from that place of total depression. You see, now, when we go to the villages, to people who have an acre, 2, 3, 4, 5 of land, there you actually tell them the land is the place that is going to get you now. The boost we are going to give you is seeds, and the boost we are going to give you is find for you a market. Now do the rest. Now when we come to the urban youth who are unemployed and living down there, the boost we are giving them is different. Okay? Because we are not going to give them seeds, they don't have land. So, but they have organizations, they have small, saving groups where you can boost them to come up with projects where they say, we are going to do this, and we are going to make money off this. Yes, because here is the thing. Just because the money is released doesn't mean it gets down to do what it is supposed to do. Yes. Because, of course, there is the culture of corruption. Yeah. And a lot of it is not even released. Like, I want you to know that a lot of what is said is not done. You understand? So they will get one or two of those which are controlled by movement, people then give money here and there. It is not a structured thing, absolutely. Then you'll find one person who has moved from here to some party with a car full of money and so on. That's the kind of system that we've had with Museveni. So now, no, it is structured in that it has to be tied to a project that they are doing. And it has to be, you do not give people money just like that. Okay, you give it to them with a purpose, knowing that having given you this money, you have to convince me that you will not need money hereafter. Because I don't want to create dependence. Yet actually, what this government wants to create is dependence. That's why they will close everybody down, then start saying they are going to give people kaunga. They want to create dependence. Now, what I don't want to create is dependence. Not anywhere. I've never wanted to do that. Even if I'm helping somebody in my life, I will make sure that I'm telling you, now, if I give you this money, how can you assure me that this is the last time you're going to come to me to ask for money? Now, you have to convince me that you have something in place which is going to ensure that from here onwards, now, I'm not going to be a dependent. I can push this. I just need that initial push. Now from here, I can take it up from there and turn it into some, And I've been forthright with them because I've met so many of them. And so many of them have come with this mindset, you're going to give money. I said, no, you have to convince me that you've seen a need somewhere, which you can meet. Okay? There is a need for this. I can sell this. People have a need for this. Okay? There's a clear market for it. I've studied. I've seen a clear market for this. Now, I can produce it. The only thing that I lack is a boost, a financial boost. Now, if you give me that, I will take it up from there because the market is there. I have the ability to produce it. Okay. So now, if you can support them in so many other ways, and then they take it up from there. Now, you create economically independent individuals, especially the youth, and who are not dependent on handouts. Because handouts is the worst thing you can do to somebody. It kills people's innovation. And now one of the things that God has given us as a nation actually is innovation. Okay? Now that's the one thing that has been killed completely in this country. People try to innovate things. You hardly ever hear of them again. Somebody comes up with this, it's destroyed. It's destroyed. And I'm not saying he destroys it himself. It is destroyed by the government or by people therein. They come, they take it over, they destroy it. But even if it was destroyed by the person who started it, if it is something innovative, the government should come and hold, lift him up and say, okay, this is a good thing, we can support you here, and make sure he doesn't destroy it himself. That's what other people do. And so the point is, I'm telling you that a lot of these Chinese you see here coming and starting up businesses, they only get up, come and say, we see that there are so many these things which are being imported from African countries, from China. We can actually go and set up a factory there, and we produce these things from there and sell to these people from there. And do you know where they get the loans? Do you know where they get the loans to do that stuff from? From their government. So the government supports them to come and do their businesses here. So why not us? Of course, this World Trade Organization and all that, but why not us? If they can be supported to come and start up banks here, start up things here, why not our people being supported by their government to go and start up businesses which can be of tremendous value? Because when I walk around the countries around this place, I see there are so many things which they import from Brazil, from France, from everywhere, that they can get from Uganda very easily. Now, when I go and see that, and I speak to somebody there and say, instead of importing these things from France, okay, there's a country there, Equatorial Guinea, they import all their food from France. So what if we told them, you don't have to import, they import things, gonja, what, from France? Really? Now, if we really had a government, these are the things which governments do. You understand? I want you to see that these are the things which governments do. It's only the Ugandan government which does not. I'll tell you that the American president, Donald Trump, will host the Chinese president, and he's talking about selling soya bean to China. He does not grow soya bean. He's creating a market for his farmers. So when he meets him, they are talking about Chinese airlines buying Boeings, which are made in America. They are talking about Chinese buying soya bean, which is planted in America, and so on and so forth. Then also China is talking about, importing technologies and so many other things. So they are talking about how they can. It's actually a business transaction between two world leaders. Now ours, it's just a business transaction for him and his family. And he has said that actually. Now, not for the country. Now, if they actually had a scenario, and when presidents visit, they don't visit to just talk. They are visiting to look for markets. Okay? So when we go and you say now, instead of doing ABC, instead of importing all these things from God knows where, we can give them to you cheaper. Ugandan farmers can produce this. And then you enter into an agreement where you're supposed to produce all these number of things. Then you come to Uganda and say, we can export garlic, these tons of garlic to this country. There is a ready market. Now plant garlic. Do you know how long it takes to plant garlic? And it grows and it comes out? 4 months. So in 4 months, you have rich people. 1, 2, 3, 4 months. Because you made for them a market.
Mr. Kabuleta, let's now get back to your position of running for president. You started before you actually got into the pastoral, should I say the pastoral wave. You were attending Prophet Elvis Mbonye's church, and the controversial act came of you kissing his feet, and it was all over social media and everything, and even dailies, news dailies and everything. What is your stand on Prophet Elvis Mbonye?
I'm a part of his ministry.
I would say he's a false prophet.
What people see him...
Self-made prophet.
Well, who makes prophets? No, if you say somebody is self-made, then I want to know that there is a place where they are made. Because if somebody cannot be a self-styled doctor, because I know there is a medical school where doctors are made. Or you can't be a self-styled lawyer because we know where lawyers are made. So now, who makes prophets? Here is the thing. What people think about him is their business, not mine. Okay, I have a right to fraternize wherever I want to fraternize. That's my right. I have a right to do whatever it is I want to do. Okay, if people find it controversial like that, that's their problem, not mine. Okay, there are so many things they do in the darkness somewhere, and I do not concern myself with that. So there are so many people who are walking naked in shrines and doing that, and doing all sorts of things in shrines. Do I concern myself with that? That's their business, not mine. So here is the thing. What people think about him is their business. I know what I think about him, and I think it's clear what I think about him. So now, I don't see where the controversy is. I have a right to do whatever it is I want in the area of faith.
You said you're not interested in alliances unless the people asking for you to join the alliance are below you.
Yes, I said that. Or come and join me.
Or come and join you. Do you think you convey that much power to everyone else running who is not the incumbent president?
What do you mean convey that much power?
Are you that much more popular than the other candidates? Are you giving something much more different that the other candidates are not giving? Do you feel you're the best candidate? And do you think Ugandans know you're the best candidate?
Well, I know I'm the best candidate, a capital yes. I don't know, Ugandans, we'll leave it up to Ugandans, you see, we'll leave it up to the voters. Because everybody has their perception of who is a big candidate. But we'll leave it up to voters. But you see, I know, because I have moved around this country, and I know where strengths and weaknesses are. And I know who is strong where and who is weak where. Okay? So I know what is happening in the country. not what is happening in Kampala only, which is what most people seem to know. Okay? Now, there are people who apparently are strong, but they are like tarmac. They're on the main road only. When you branch off, they are not there. You branch off any main road, they are not there. And yet here in Kampala, they are strong, but when you go down, they are not there. You understand? Yeah, so I know, I have moved the country. I know what I'm talking about. So I know what the challenges are, I know what the opportunities are, and I know what I have to do. But when I find somebody who has a message as clear, as far as I know, none of them actually even have any message whatsoever about what they intend to do for Uganda after they take over power. Now, when there is somebody who has a message as clear as mine, then we shall, and it fits into what I'm talking about, then shall we, actually most of the people who have seen, there are many MPs who have a message which is similar, MP contestants. So then we shall seek to make alliances. But before that, I don't see any reason why should I make an alliance with anybody? Okay? I would want to see one who is, number one, has a better ability to govern this country than I have. Number two, is not a carry-on from the Museveni, you know, because there are so many people who have been made by Museveni. As far as I'm concerned, there are actually only two candidates who are self-made, myself and somebody else, who you cannot say this one was Museveni's army commander, this one was Museveni's what. All of them are constructs of Museveni. Kabuleta is construct of nobody. You understand? I have never worked in that government, and as far as I'm concerned, there is only one other candidate, major candidate, who also falls in my category, who has not worked there. He's a self-made man.
How are you going to deal with life after COVID, international relations?
Whole international relation thing, which people ask questions. And I wonder why people ask these things, because the relations that matter the most.
COVID has changed how we are going to live after it is gone. Okay. We don't even know if there's going to be a working vaccine in the next 6 months.
We will continue our lives whether there is a working vaccine or not. Here is the point. International relations, the first international relations that are important are those to the countries around us. For one, Rwanda. There are so many people in that area who have lost their livelihood because of a closed border, because of egos. Okay? Now we want to open that border. We cannot have a scenario where a border to a neighboring country is closed. So we want that border open immediately. Then also to improve our relations with countries around us, Tanzania, Kenya, South Sudan, which of course, as far as I know, are not that bad. But then also, South Sudan is getting a lot of foodstuffs from abroad, which they can get from Uganda, which is so sad because we are the ones who went and fought their wars. So at the very least, they should be buying food from Uganda. Now imagine South Sudan importing eggs from Brazil. Eggs? Do you know how many people can make eggs here and make money from that? Do you know why? We don't have a government. We just have thieves in power. Thieves with guns.
That purports a question. So you get into power, what will happen to President Museveni?
I think he will be there. But if he's there, he's none of my business. He's none of my business. Like, if he's there, if he's alive, he's well, like let him go and get lost somewhere and lie low like an envelope. And let us undo the mess.
Wouldn't you need his guidance on that?
I don't need his guidance on anything unless I want to impoverish Ugandans. The only one thing he's good at, and he has been very good at, is making people poor. That's his expertise. So what guidance would I need from him? Nothing. Oh, come on. Which relations? We have a border closed here with Rwanda, which we were fighting for them the other day. Now we are closed the border. What relations? These are our brothers. So are you going to come and mitigate serious issues when you cannot even talk to your own wife? Or to your own brother next door to you? Like, what does he know about international relations? How can a border be closed for all these months? What happened to diplomacy? Do you know how many people are suffering? Because Rwanda was importing a lot of foodstuffs from us. All those people down there, Chigeze and what, they are suffering because of that border. and because of egos. And then I take advice from such a person from international relations.
Well, what is your last message to the Ugandan the different stakeholders in different places all over this great nation? What is your last message to them?
My last message to them is that they should vote me, because when they vote for me, they vote for themselves. Because their interests here, let me tell you, all the resources that I've told you that this country has, there are people who are interested in them. The Chinese have their favorite candidate. The Europeans have their favorite candidate. All these other countries have their favorite candidate. And they are not looking at making you rich. They are looking at making themselves rich off the resources which God gave you. Understand? You know how those people deal. The only candidate who is for the Ugandan people is me. And I'm not saying that just because I know it to be a fact. I know people who are behind different candidates. And I know that I'm the only one who are. Nobody. The Ugandan people, I hope they understand that I'm the one who is standing for their interests. Okay? Purely their interests. That's what I hope. So when they vote for me, they are voting for themselves. Because I have no backer. Okay? I am hoping that it comes from them. There is no foreign backer, no what. Everything is coming from within people who listen to the message and realize that that's what we want to hear. You're speaking things we want to hear. And some of them, contribute in different ways. You go to places, you find campaign agents saying, we don't want money, we just want to campaign for you. And they bring for you a whole region of people and say, now, these ones, and these are campaign managers. And they just listen to what you're saying. They did not know you before. They just listen to what you're saying, and they are convinced by that. Now, that is how we are building our movement. Okay? We are not building it from abroad to come inside. No, we are building it from inside. Then we'll go abroad. And even our financial liberation is going to start from the lowest people, and then come up. We are building from down upwards, not from up. We are building from down. So those people you are talking about of Mutuwa Wansi, they are the ones actually who should vote me there, because that's where we are starting. 71% of whatever are youth. Okay? And by youth I mean 25 actually. The average age of Uganda is 15. So 71% according to a study in 2017 are feeding off the land, are farmers. So we start with this big percentage, the youth, and I know what to do for them. And by the way, I stayed in those slums for a long time before, by the grace of God, I went and started, So I know what I actually know. People say, you appeal to the elite. Which elite? I have been in those places for so long. But they base that just because on the way you speak. No.
It has done that.
It has not.
It has. It has sent out money to different circles, to different organizations, to different groups. These people have been told to form up groups and go and request for that money, and the requisitions are made, and some of these groups got money. Whatever the money is used for, should we put that on government?
They are not lazy people. You've created a scenario for them to actually I'm giving you an example, to plant the garlic and it comes out. So now, why should we be poor? Apart from bad leadership.
How are we going to attain that? How is your government going to attain economic vibrance, financial liberation? Because you've talked about this. This is your front, actually. For the past weeks, I think, or a month, you have been talking about economic and financial liberation of every individual in this country. How is that going to happen?
First of all, here's the thing. One of the cardinal reasons why there is a lot of land grabbing is because there is a deliberate decision to not give titles to people who are seeking land titles for their land, and land which has no contest. You understand? A land where there is no controversy, where everybody knows this is this person's plot of land, where your neighbors will sign across the boundaries, and where even the LC will sign across and say everybody knows this person belongs to this land belongs to Mr. Mukasa, and there is there's no controversy over the land. But then it takes people 5, 6, 7 years to get a land title. Why? Because there is a deliberate decision for that not to happen. And as long as you do not have a land title, your land is there to be grabbed.
So what is the better government you're going to bring?
And that's why people don't want people to have land titles. Now, if you create a scenario where at the district, everybody who has land, which land has no controversy surrounding it, they can get a title in less than a month. Now, once they have the title, that land is no longer available for grabbing. Now, what has caused the old issues is the absence of titles. Now, when the land is titled and the people are confident with their land title, then now you bring a tribunal for these courts to deal with that land that has controversy, where there is somebody contesting the land. And that is also sorted at that level. And there is a judgment made for either party, and then that one also gets land titled. Now, when the land is all titled, there's not going to be any land grabbing. Okay? As long as there are no titles, the land grabbing is going to, and of course, as long as there are these thieves who are in power right now, the land grabbing is going to continue because they're extending.
Mr. Kabuleta, it was a pleasure having a chat with you.
My pleasure.
Well, this is Face the Nation, and I've been your host, Nala Salanjoli Senoga. Catch me on next time, right here.